My cheating wife betrayed me, and I feel no pity when karma finally caught up with her. Lately, I've been wondering if my wife might be cheating on me. I don't have concrete proof, so I don't want to accuse her or bring it up in case I'm wrong. I also don't want to give her a reason to hide things even better if she is cheating. It's just small details and a gut feeling. About 4 months ago, she started working out more and paying a lot more attention to her appearance. She's always been very attractive, but she never used to wear much makeup or do elaborate hairstyles. Now, she's also become very protective of her phone, which I know can be a red flag. We used to freely use each other's phones, but now she never lets hers out of her sight. If I ask to use her phone to take a picture, she tells me to use my own. She's also been staying late at work more often, and over the past 4 months, she's gone on several business trips. She no longer initiates intimacy and limits herself to quick pecks on the lips. I've tried initiating intimacy a few times, but she either refuses or is so detached that it feels worse than an outright rejection. I brought up our lack of intimacy a while ago, and she blamed it on exhaustion, motherhood, work, and her fitness routine. She promised to try harder, kiss me that night, but nothing changed. I started wondering if this might be some kind of midlife crisis. There's a guy at her work who I think might be the problem. She used to talk about him a lot, but a few months ago, she suddenly stopped mentioning him, even though I know they still work closely together. He's married, has kids, and has mentioned having issues in his marriage. I've met him a couple of times, and he blatantly ignored me. He's not in as good physical shape as I am, but he dresses well, is outgoing, and likes to drink. My wife sometimes says she wishes I'd drink too. I finished high school, while he has a master's degree and earns significantly more than I do. I train fighters, which I love, but it doesn't pay much. My wife thinks I could earn more in a different field. She's not obsessed with money, but I understand her desire for financial stability. Recently, she went on a work trip to a tropical resort with this colleague and their CEO. The thought of her spending so much time with him is eating me alive. I want to confirm my suspicions, but I don't want to cause a scene by accusing her without proof. Overall, our marriage has been good despite some ups and downs. A friend suggested I start gathering evidence discreetly, but I feel uncomfortable invading her privacy. If she is cheating, I can't imagine staying with her. It would break my heart. I'd appreciate any advice on how to handle this situation. Update 1. I accessed our phone account and noticed a ton of late-night messages to a specific number. I plan to find out who it belongs to. After this discovery, I was overwhelmed with emotions. Last night, I tried initiating intimacy, but my wife refused, citing exhaustion and a headache. We talked about our relationship, and she promised to work on things, just like she has before. This morning, she mentioned a possible trip to Vegas with college friends I've never met. I'm starting to see a pattern, but I'm still not sure. In the end, I decided to dig deeper and check the detailed call and message logs. I saw hundreds of messages sent to the same number in the middle of the night. I called the number from a payphone, and one of her colleagues answered the one I suspected. I managed to access her phone while she was in the shower and found that the conversation with this number had been deleted. The number was also saved in her contacts under a female name. Now I'm really worried about that business trip he was on with her. I had to leave the house to calm down, then came back, but I don't know what to do next. If I confront her with what I have, she'll likely come up with an excuse. I'm not sure if I should keep gathering evidence quietly or confront her now. I'm furious, torn apart by anger toward her, but I also have a strong urge to deal with this guy. I'll need to make a huge effort to restrain myself. I'm worried she'll only admit to harmless flirting, and I won't have enough proof to get the full truth. What's the best way to proceed? I'm planning to stay up tonight, when she usually texts him, then interrupt her and ask who she's messaging to see if she lies. So let's hear your advice in the comments. What would you suggest to the author? Now, let's move on to the next update. Update 2. Last night, after we went to bed, I pretended to fall asleep and waited to see if my wife would get up to use her phone. Sure enough, just after midnight, she got up, went to another room, and closed the door. I waited a couple of minutes, then quickly opened the door and walked in, saying I couldn't sleep and asking what she was doing. I caught her mid-text, too fast for her to delete anything. I saw her slowly trying to hide the phone. She said she couldn't sleep either and was just texting a friend. I had a plan and went straight for it. I got closer, started kissing her, and asked if she wanted to make love. As expected, she refused, so I started laughing and playfully tickling her, joking that she must be more interested in her texting friend than in me. Then I gently tackled her, trying to grab the phone while pretending it was all a game. I saw panic in her eyes. She tried to take the phone back, but I turned away, keeping it out of reach, still laughing and acting like I was just playing. I told her I was going to call this friend and find out why she was keeping my wife up. My wife shouted, "Please don't call her." I kept going, opened the chat, and saw a message. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow." I hit the call button, and after what felt like an eternity, a man answered. I didn't know what to say. I just hung up. Then I started reading the messages aloud in front of her and asked why she was sending texts like that to a man in the middle of the night. She said she didn't know. I asked if she had anything to say, but she stayed silent. I told her I had seen the phone records and knew about all her late-night texts with this guy. She started crying and apologizing. I stayed calm and explained that the next few minutes would be crucial. If she didn't tell me the whole truth, there'd be serious consequences. She admitted to flirting with her colleague, who's having marital issues, and said it had escalated to explicit flirting. She claimed nothing physical happened, but I was afraid she'd only admit to what I already knew. I told her that if she couldn't be completely honest, she needed to pack her things and leave. She agreed, crying and apologizing. Before leaving for her mother's, she asked if I was going to leave her. I said we'd discuss it later since it was already late. She left, and I haven't seen her since, though she's tried to contact me. I turned off my phone. Here's my plan. I want to find a family therapist and book a session, pretending I want to work things out, but actually use it to properly organize the separation process. I recorded our entire conversation last night in case she tries to accuse me of something. I checked with a lawyer friend, and he confirmed that such a recording is legal in our state. I don't think she'll make false accusations, but I want to be cautious, especially since I used to be a professional fighter. Any accusation of violence against me, given my size, physical build, and profession, could be disastrous, especially when it comes to child custody. So, I plan to record all our future interactions for my own safety. I'm completely devastated. I want to confront this man, but I need to control myself. In one of the messages, he called me an animal, and I know he's scared of me. Despite not having a higher education or a high-paying job, I'm proud of always striving for knowledge and self-improvement. I may not be the smartest person, but I'm definitely not stupid. I'll post an update when things change. Right now, I don't even know what advice would help. Update 3. I'm grateful for all the support I've received during this tough time. My lawyer friend recommended a family law attorney who's been through infidelity himself. According to my friend, these cases led him take a sort of revenge, and he's very flexible with payment and genuinely wants to help. Maybe that's a small positive in all this. Now for the main update. My wife admitted to the affair. She said it started with flirting, then turned into an emotional connection, and she initially claimed nothing physical happened. I knew she was lying. Eventually, she confessed to a physical affair that started around the time she stopped being intimate with me. I learned far more details than I could handle. Their relationship was very passionate. To say this broke me would be an understatement. I'm struggling with my emotions and can barely hold a single thought in my head. I told my wife to stay with her mother for now while I take care of the kids to give them stability at home. My lawyer is doing his job. He says staying in the house is a big advantage for me. I haven't told my wife yet, but our marriage is over. She'll find out when she's served the divorce papers, which will happen soon. I can't stop obsessing over her and this man. I train fighters in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, both professionals and semi-professionals, and I'm trying to pour all my focus into training. The physical exertion helps. Of course, I'm also fully focused on the kids. Outside of sports, my main passion has always been self-education. I usually read for a few hours every evening to unwind, but lately, I can't focus on even a single paragraph. After learning they called me a dumb animal, I'm scared to imagine what else they might have discussed. This situation has truly broken me. I've always been a cheerful person, but now that joy is just gone. On the other hand, since the truth came out, many people have offered their support, which definitely helps. A few wives of my friends have even started nudging me toward new connections, telling me about beautiful women interested in me, knowing I'll soon be single. I'm not planning to date anyone until this is all over, and probably not for a long time after, but the fact that I have options is somewhat comforting. I think I'll get through this eventually. Right now, my kids are my top priority. I'll try to post another update soon. My wife is desperate and begging to save our marriage, but I know I'll never forgive what she did, so trying to save the family will only delay the inevitable. Update 4. Life has turned into chaos, but I decided to come back to this account and give an update. I found out my wife was cheating on me, and also learned she considered me a dumb loser because I don't earn much. I filed for divorce, and it should be finalized next month. We've agreed on 50-50 custody, and she'll pay me alimony since her income is significantly higher than mine. That's the current legal situation. Now for the aftermath. I'm heartbroken, and so are my kids. I never thought I'd become a single dad, but here I am. My wife seems to have fallen into a depression. The man she cheated with reportedly decided she wasn't worth the trouble. She started drinking and dating a bunch of random men she meets online. There have been several instances where she called me, begging me to take her back and return to our old life. I wish I could, but I'm standing firm. When she found out how much she'll have to pay me in alimony each month, it seemed to only make her angrier. My kids don't fully understand the situation, and when they're not with me, I feel awful. I'm lonely all the time, barely spend time with friends, and mostly just sit at home. Even the barista at the coffee shop I frequent asked if I'm okay because I look sad. I guess I'm not hiding my emotions as well as I thought. Some acquaintances want to set me up on dates, but I don't want to because I feel like I'm now that guy whose wife cheated on him. I was married for so long that I can't even imagine how to start dating again. The only thing that's brought me a bit of joy is the success of a few of my fighters at a pretty high level, but overall, I still don't know what to do next. At some point, I need to shake myself out of this and move forward. I just haven't found the motivation yet. I asked a friend to reach out to the man's wife and show her the evidence I had. I couldn't just let him get away with no consequences. I couldn't confront him in person, so this was the best option. At first, she didn't believe it, but I heard their marriage is now having serious issues. As far as I know, they're still together, but their relationship is on the brink. I feel immense anger. It's maddening to realize how quickly life can turn upside down. The only somewhat positive thing is that I met a woman through friends who I'm interested in. I haven't asked her out yet, but she's incredibly beautiful. She's about 14 years younger than me, though. I don't know if that's a big issue, but the age gap is significant. After everything I've been through, my confidence has taken a huge hit. I feel like she's too good for me, and maybe she is, but I think about her often, and it occupies my thoughts. The past 6 months have been the worst I've ever felt in my life. I've always been a happy person, but now there's just darkness and emptiness inside me. Final update. In short, I found out my wife was cheating on me with a colleague, and I divorced her after that. We were together for about 15 years. To say my new life has been a challenge would be an understatement. Sometimes I'm hit with moments of sadness and loss, but they pass. Overall, I feel great. The kids are doing well, and spend a lot of time with me. After the divorce, my wife had to take on more work projects to afford her new single life and the alimony she pays me. She always earned much more than I did. When the pandemic hit, I had a flexible schedule, so I was able to stay home with the kids and help with their remote learning. Since my job involves physical contact, the pandemic slowed it down significantly. Right now, my fighters have fewer competition opportunities, so in a way, I've become a stay-at-home dad. I gave myself time to recover after the divorce. The young woman I was interested in went on a long work assignment in Europe. We kept in touch online, and when her assignment ended, she came back, and we've been together since. She loves me and my kids. She's incredibly caring and empathetic. Before we were introduced, people told me she's like Wonder Woman and the kindest person they've ever met. I thought it sounded too good to be true, but she really is that amazing. I think we'll take new steps in our relationship soon. As for my ex-wife, things aren't going well for her. She's started drinking and dating random men she meets online, and the stress from work is taking its toll. Over the past few years, she looks like she's aged 15 years. She was always beautiful, but the last time I saw her, she looked exhausted, like the life had been drained out of her. It's strange to say, but that's the impression I got. Her best friend told me my ex is miserable and has become impossible to be around. I'll probably never understand how someone who seemed happy and confident could fall so far so fast. Her friend also said my ex never thought I'd actually leave after her affair. She probably felt in control because of her higher salary, and the consequences of her betrayal caught her off guard. I hope she finds peace, at least for our kids' sake. Overall, despite the challenges of the pandemic, I'm doing well. I'm really glad I ended my marriage right away instead of trying to save it. It was a tough decision at the time, but I knew it was the right one, and then I just kept moving forward, step by step. It's not hard to make small progress each day, knowing that eventually I'll get through this. If you're in a similar situation, think long term. At first, you'll feel empty, then sad, then depressed, and then completely hopeless. But no matter what, keep moving forward. Exercise every day, and most importantly, do something each day that improves you or gives you new skills. Not motivational speeches, but real skills. I got into videography and editing, making short films about my fighters, which has become an interesting hobby. I'm reading more books to learn new things, just trying to do something useful every day. Small steps add up to big results over time. The key is to work on yourself and be patient.